Hello everybody, and welcome to the LJL OU's first ever live interview. Except it's not live, it's pre-recorded, but you don't have to worry about that. Mars One here with the very own Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks Gaming's Corporal. Sir, welcome to this interview. How are you doing, buddy?
Thank you. I'm great to be here. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Um, yeah, I'm not really sure what else to say. I'm just glad to be here.
Well, I think the best place to start would be with a quick introduction for maybe anyone who isn't particularly aware of who you are, what you do. Who are the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks Gaming?
Oh, well, yeah, a quick rundown is, well, obviously we are part of the LJL, which is the Japanese Pro League. Um, and, well, Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks Gaming is one of the 8 teams that participate in them. And yeah, I think that's that's about it for the rundown.
Sure, no worries, no worries. So, let's start with the hardest question first and foremost, and then we can kind of get onto the lighter stuff later, and kind of it'll be a lot easier. Ooh, okay. After a disappointing result versus V3 Esports yesterday, I mean, apparently their playoffs buff is real, so that's a sad thing
Yeah,
to
it
see
seems
for you
real.
guys. How are you and the team feeling right now that you're sadly out of playoffs?
Um, I feel like now I've had a bit more time to reflect on it, and I was able to see yeah, I'm able to just think back more on it, more logically,
Yeah.
and kind of accept that. I think on the day V3 just played a lot better, and even when we had early leads, they kept their head in the game and they played well. So I think just props to them. I'm not particularly. Well, obviously, it's very sad and it's regretful that our season ended, but I think V3 played well and they deserved it because yeah, they won in a good manner for them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess all I can say is that it kind of sucks for us, but
Yeah. Like that's just how it goes sometimes, right? That's honestly like it was disappointing because obviously in prior interviews you guys had been like pretty confident. I remember in one of the post-game interviews you were like every week you feel comfortable that you could 2-0 every single time. That's a loose translation, but you guys were very pretty confident that you could always win. And that it had to end this way must suck, right? Like you guys put a lot of work and effort into this and you guys were definitely on an upward trajectory as well.
yeah, it was definitely a bit unexpected because I felt like we were improving week to week, and I genuinely felt like we are a higher level than what we showed yesterday, and I'm just kind of sad that we weren't able to fully show the fans the actual what I think should be our actual level.
Sure.
Um, so yeah.
Hey ho, hey ho. Well, let's get on to more lighter topics now, because that's honestly the hardest question of this whole interview. So you've passed now, mate. You've done it now. You can relax.
Oh,
So
great, yeah.
how's your time now being playing in the LJL now for 2 full seasons? Obviously, last season you were with Axis. You made playoffs with Axis. One is how's the comparison between the Axis loss and the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks loss, and how's your time just been playing in the LJL for 2 splits now?
Well, I guess the main difference between the two teams would probably be expectations, right? I
Sure.
guess last year, I'm not sure we were even predicted to make playoffs by like anyone who was consistently watching the LJL. So,
Probably
um,
not.
yeah, there was no expectation. There was really no pressure to like win or lose. It was kind of just like show up and do your best. But this year, there were definitely a lot of expectations. I think on paper, our roster could have been like top 2 or top 3 pretty easily. So, um, yeah, I guess that would be the biggest thing in terms of difference between those two teams.
Sure. Yeah. And what's it been like just playing in the LJL for 2 splits now? Like that's 2 full seasons. Actually, no, not even splits. 2 full seasons.
It's definitely really cool because I came from, well, I originally played in the OPL in 2019 before I
Yep.
came to LJL in 2020. So definitely, I feel like LJL has a lot more infrastructure and it seems like a major minor league in its own right, as in like, I don't know, I just feel like, what am I trying to get at here? The LJL is it's really neat. It's
I think
really neat.
I think I really like how you put it's a major region in its own minor way, because it definitely does make it feel like a spectacle sometimes. And when you have team like rosters like DFM and you guys on the Hawks were like kind of stacked sometimes. Like last season, we had Pyrian and Blank on the same team. Like this region gets star power, right?
Yeah, it definitely has the star power. I would just say the only thing in which it lacks is sometimes there is communication problems, which is natural when there are imports from other leagues coming
Mm,
through. Um, so yeah, that is, I guess, one of the main issues within the league itself, but it definitely does have the individual power to compete with every other league. I think even the top tier major regions, I think the players we have through the LJL definitely have the level to compete.
absolutely. I mean, we almost beat down one. So I mean, we're almost all there, right? Like we're just there. We beat C9 with perks, so it's fine. We're clearly top 10 in the world. We should be on all those tier lists that I keep see running around the Twitter. Um is it true, Corporal, that you had some hand in unintentionally changing the LJL rules around residency when you entered the league?
I'm not completely sure. However, I did read something of that nature, but yeah, it was kind of more like a loose translation, so I'm not too sure if it was exactly that. But I think there may have been some changes made to how residency works within for dual citizens. So
Hmm.
maybe
Yeah,
I think so.
it was definitely interesting when I suddenly see you join the league and then a few weeks later a rule revision gets made through and I'm like, what is this? And then the only correlation was you joining the league. And what was that like? What was the reaction for you joining the LJL from your perspective? Was it like, did people pop off? What were people back home thinking for you? They must have all been really proud of you.
Honestly, yeah, it was a big thing. I think a lot of my friends and teammates as well were very happy for me that I was able to get a chance in LGL, and I think the reaction from the Japanese community was like pretty positive. I was really happy, and I think all the Japanese fans are really nice and welcoming,
Mm,
and yeah, I felt really welcomed and loved by the fans, so I was grateful for that. And yeah, I think a lot of people didn't realize that was half Japanese when I played in the
mm,
Shelly. I don't think it came up too often. So I think this reaction from most Oceanic pros was surprise. And then from
mm.
Japan, I think it was also surprise as well because I don't think I was on their radar before I joined in 2020.
I mean, you gotta really be scouting around. I mean, I don't even know if your LOL wiki page even had that you were dual citizenship till you joined the LJL, and suddenly everyone was like, "Oh no, he's also Japanese nationality, so he can get in." Why not?
Yeah,
I
something
mean,
like that.
what's your reaction to all the Oceania changes? Because obviously you came over to the LJL, and then while you've been in the LJL, obviously now Oceania players can now play over in NA. Um, is this something that you would be interested in? And also, kind of, what's your reaction to all of that happening? Because obviously a lot of your co-mates, your co-players that you've played along with, they've now joined some NA teams.
Yeah, I think it was a cool opportunity because I know in Australia there's not really a consistent way that you can make a career out of gaming. So
Mm.
honestly, I mean, it's definitely an opportunity that I could see myself going for at some point if it opens up, but I do really enjoy playing in the LGL. I do love the LGL.
So, quick question about the region, about LJR. Have you got any hopes for the region slash, let's be real here, DFM at international events and coming into Worlds or slash 2022? I mean, obviously we saw V3 obviously topple DFM last year, and that was a surprise to a lot of people. I know we were all crazy surprised about it over here on the LJLOU, and then they actually were like looking good. I mean, Boogie especially. So, what's your thoughts for the region? Do you expect us to maybe make it out of world play-ins, make groups, and then maybe in the future, maybe even make to a like brackets? Can we make playoffs? Maybe.
After seeing the MSI performance and then DFM getting a roster upgrade, I definitely think groups is for sure achievable.
Mhm.
I do have high hopes this year. I feel like the DFM roster is pretty much has no weaknesses. I think they can play through every lane pretty reliably. They are able to consistently pull off the win conditions they're drafting for. So yeah, I think if DFM gets through, then I'm pretty confident in how the LJL will perform internationally.
And what about moving forward, maybe in future years? Do you think that could be a really big spark for the region?
Yeah, I definitely think it'll motivate more people to want to pursue League of Legends within Japan, and I think the LJL is getting stronger year by year. So I think with the continued upward trajectory, it's only natural that Japan will continue to get stronger, and I think we'll be able to compete with alongside some major regions at some point in the future. So yeah, I have really high hopes for LJL.
Awesome. So we've previously, and I mean I mean the proverbial us of the LGLOU, we've talked about this on our podcast that if DFM have a strong performance, like you're anticipating, like we're all hoping, let's be real here, we're all pulling for it. If they do have a strong performance, could we see some of those this region's amazing players maybe be snapped up by other regions? Like is that plausible? Do you think if DFM have a really good performance, not only maybe top line talent in just DFM, but maybe in the region could be maybe taken for other regions? We've got some top talent. I mean, it's easy. You could easily look at probably most teams and probably identify 1 to 2 players that could easily slot into another region. Do you think that's possible? Um, More first things first.
I think for sure the top players from the other teams can have the level to get imported.
Sure.
However, I'm not sure there's too much incentive for that, except I think for imports for some teams, they may look to continue to seek opportunities in other leagues. Like, for example, Boogie
Yeah.
went to Latin America, so I can see that kind of happening, but I don't see too much that Japanese players would go to other regions because I feel there's just not enough incentive to do that for now. And obviously, Japan has its own language, so it would be quite difficult to have to learn another language going to another league.
I mean, are there other? So, I mean, another player that we always knock around at the moment because he's one of the MVPs of the league is Arya. And he is Japanese, and I know he got very invested in helping V3 when they went to Worlds in 2020. Do you think maybe Arya, maybe some of the Korean, or even yourself, Corporal, an import? Maybe do you think that's something that's plausible to see some of the imports maybe leave the region if we have very strong international success?
I mean, yeah, I could see a world where it happens.
Sure.
I'm just not sure like how plausible it really is. Plus, I don't think there is too much incentive to leave for the top Japanese players. So
Hmm.
I
Could you
think
go a bit more in
theoretically
depth into why?
well, I think theoretically they could compete with the other region, like the other top laners from or top, sorry, the other players from other regions, such
Sure.
as like I definitely think every has the level to compete with major league players.
Yeah.
In top lane, I think Arya has a level to compete with, and like so on, so on. Um, However, I think within DFM, within Japan, DFM has many times to, or has many opportunities to go to international tournaments and have you can build yourself a pretty storied career there. So I think I don't see too much incentive for those players to
Mm.
go to other regions at this moment. This is
Okay.
alongside the fact that um, yeah, Japanese is just for Japan, so you would have to learn another language at that point.
Yeah, you've got not only along the language, but obviously there's those cultural differences, living culture shock when you move over and everything. I remember you talked in another interview you've previously done that culture shock was a real thing for you, right?
It wasn't too bad for me because
Okay.
my mom is Japanese, so I
I love
had
her fan signs and support that we always see on social media.
yeah, it's great. I I like it too, and yeah, it was a bit of a shock, I guess, for some things that I I guess I was aware of, but I didn't realize like how much it is. For example, I mean I kind of knew it along, but if
Hmm.
you say someone's name and then you don't say son after it, then it's kind of disrespectful if they're older than you. So
Right.
you have to be mindful to always use that after someone's name when you're referring to them. So, I mean, that was just like an example of something I had to make sure I got used to.
Yeah,
But
it's
other
a
than
lot
that,
of small things, right? Like it's not normally the big things that affect you because you can normally get ready and expect that. It's the small things as you go along. Okay, so moving on. We actually, sir, I don't know if you knew Corporal, we gave you second All Pro team, and that was voted by all of our members of our community and members within our staffing. So we gave you All Pro 2. So the bias is not truly there. You are honestly there, along with your teammate Dasher as well for second All Pro. Gang was number 1, and Nemo was actually third, who's on an amazing performance of his own. The support role has seen a huge amount of play and priority in the LJL, or just bot lane in general, really. What's your thought on the LJL meta and kind of the internal meta of bot lane overall?
I think the LJL meta is shaped a lot by where the Korean imports are placed within LJL teams. And I
Sure.
think most teams have a Korean jungler or a Korean ADC. So I think that is why the meta is shaped more around jungle carrying or giving resources to bot lane.
Hmm.
And yeah, I would say LGL is a more bot focused region or bot heavy region. Um, so yeah, I think that is why the meta. And sorry, what was the rest of your question? I forgot.
So yeah, absolutely. So what do you think about the LJL meta? Because the LJL has its own very unique meta game. I mean, Jinx has been hugely important in the LJL, whereas other regions, Vayne has been more important, like the LPL. I'm just wondering, what's your impression of that?
Sure. Yeah, as I said before, because there are many Korean players who are playing ADC, I think ADCs and bot lane get more prioritized within the league. And so picks like Jinx and these hyper carry picks just come into meta more. So I think that is a big part of what's shaping the LGL meta, and the fact that I think the league plays at a pretty slow pace compared to most other regions within the world.
Hmm.
So with that in
Yeah.
mind, I think a lot of scaling picks are pretty prioritized as well, and um, yeah, and then hyper carries again because it's a slow paced meta. I feel like.
I mean, it's interesting just to see like players that have been imported. Obviously, yourself and Zenit. You've got a double import bot lane there. Obviously, Zenit is Korean. You're kind of no, you're Japanese. That's how the OGL sees it. So it's fine. You're not an import technically. Technically, you're not. It's always that weird one. Okay, got an interesting one. Sorry, this will take me a while to get through. So bear with me. In week 7, after you had a loss to DFM and then you had a win over Axis, in your post-game interview, you were asked, and I'm paraphrasing and translating here, so um, you were asked, thanks to your aggressive play, the bot lane gained a big advantage. What were you thinking when you made these plays? Now, you responded with, rather than aggressive plays, there are good ones and bad ones. Can you explain that a little bit more? What you mean by what a good play is, what a bad play is? Is it kind of hyperbole and more depending on the situation? Like, what do you mean by that, sir?
Oh yeah, sure. So I don't really like the putting plays into boxes of like this guy is a defensive player, this guy's an aggressive player. I think
Mm.
when you need to be defensive, if you understand the map state and you understand how the game needs to be played out and the appropriate win conditions, you'll be able to decide whether or not to be like I guess aggressive or defensive at certain points. So I wouldn't necessarily say I'm an aggressive bot laner. I feel like I just take opportunities and I try and seize every opportunity I get that I can justifiably look to go in and fight in order to gain advantage. So for example, if I know that we're looking to play a bot-focused game, we're looking to stack dragons within a game,
Mm.
then I know I have the 2v2 advantage. So if they're going to walk up within my range, then I need to, no matter what kind of trade I take, and I know that it will be a good one because I'm in a winning matchup, then I just have the freedom to go in whenever I want. And I guess it did end up having like kills in the Axis game, for example.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it just felt like correct to me. I didn't think like, oh, I'm gonna be so aggressive today. I'm gonna like to kill. No, I just saw the opportunity. I justified I had justifiable reasons to myself, and that's why I was able to act upon it, I think.
No, I think that's a really good way of explaining it. Thank you. So moving on to solo queue, I assume you must play a lot of solo queue. How is that in Japan? And what server do you play more on?
I think most Japanese pros play on the Korean server more,
Okay.
and that is because the Korean server has the highest population of any
Yeah.
server, so and with the high population you get more good players and lower queue times, so I guess that's natural
Yeah,
in
and you've
that
got the
sense.
Korean imports, right? They've got their accounts already at Challenger, so you want to keep it there, right?
Yeah, that as well.
What
So
what rank are you at the moment?
well, currently I'm in Masters, but
Okay.
yeah.
What's the highest rank you've been in the Korean ladder?
I did get to Grandmaster 430.
Oh, that must be close to Challenger.
No, challenge is pretty high. It's like
Hmm.
recently it is 800, but I think
Okay.
at that point it was around like 700 or something. It's pretty insane, like the threshold for getting that rank. So
Is it going to be something you're going to be grinding for in the off season?
yeah, for sure. I feel like I had quite a disappointing showing, especially within my series yesterday. So
Mm.
I feel like my one way to regain face would be to grind my way to Challenger, which is something I'm definitely looking to be doing. Possibly after I take like a small break just in order to collect my thoughts
Mm.
and reflect on my split. But yeah, for sure. Like off season, I'm pretty sure solo queue should be pro players' #1 priority. Apart
Okay.
from obviously break, so yeah, you should have a break too to
Yeah.
refuel from your split.
Yeah, I definitely agree. A break is highly recommended when you put yourself in crazy environments and practice. And actually, what does practice look like? Like, how does that work over in Japan or the LJL, or how does the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks run that? Is it a lot of solo queue practice tool? Like what is kind of used and changed, and how does it work?
Well, I can only speak from my experiences, so I
Well,
guess I can
and
say
obviously
for
only
that.
divulge what you know you can divulge.
Yes. So I mean, for spring this season, we actually had quite a crazy schedule. We were pretty much running on like wake up, League of Legends, solo queue,
Hmm.
scrims, dinner, scrims, solo queue, sleep. And we were doing that pretty much the entire spring split, so it was quite a lot of practice at that point. And for summer, it kind of went back a bit, but it's still like a lot of uh, uh still a lot of practice. Wake up, solo queue. Kind of like it kind of follows a similar structure, I guess. But um all I know is that it involves quite a lot of solo queue because if you have access to the Korean server, solo queue is still a really great practice tool.
Mm.
So definitely that's incorporated a lot and it's encouraged a lot by the coaches of the teams. So I guess that's what I can say differs from something like when I played back in Earth, because I feel like solo queue wasn't really valued highly there.
Okay.
So you would just play scrims and then maybe you would spend most of your time just chilling or watching VODs or something. But in here, Korean solo queue is really good, so you spend most of your spare time just doing solo queue outside of your scrim hours.
Is there any way you would prefer to do practice, like in a perfect world where you could make any form of like practice tool or practicing? Do you think practice could be done more effectively in League of Legends, or currently is it actually in a pretty healthy place?
Is this in general for everyone, or you mean in terms
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
myself?
So if you made a tool or you said, I've got this idea for a tool, everyone would have access. I'm not saying you get to gatekeep it behind the Fukuoka horse compound. You're just like, no, no, only we get to use this. Now, everybody, everybody.
I would have a, what is that word? Chrono break feature?
Yeah.
I would want a reliable way to chrono break so that we can replay situations out and change like one or two factors in order to see what changes occur from that. So like how I can slightly play, how I could play a situation slightly different and how that would affect the outcome of the skirmish or whatever it is. I would want something with a chrono break.
Yeah, I could imagine like you and the team would be like, okay, we've got this 5-man roster, we're in this barren situation, we're just gonna do this against our scrimming partners for the next like hour, and we're just gonna play out this one situation and try and solve it. I think would be yeah, that'd be really cool. I never thought of anything like that, and I've been thinking about this idea for months in my head. So I mean, this is why you ask a pro. They sometimes know. They sometimes know. um oh wow, we've actually covered these questions in other things we've asked. Okay, that's crazy. Right. Something a bit more
Quite in depth,
personal.
huh?
So oh, no, I got a few more. I got a few more, mate. Don't worry. Um, moving on to something a little bit more personal. What actually got you into League of Legends in the first place? Like, do you play a lot of other games? And if you have got other games that you really enjoy playing, what's your favorite non-League of Legends game?
Hmm. Well, I started because my friend introduced me to League of Legends, which
Uh,
was when I was 12, so probably 8 years ago from
oh
now.
wow.
And I mean, at first I didn't like it, but then I think it slowly became one of my addictions. I played League of Legends all the time,
Sure.
and I guess I really hated losing, so anytime I would lose, I would just want to play again, and I really enjoyed winning, so every time I won, I would play again because I enjoy winning. So, I guess my competitive drive just drove me to keep playing the game because I really enjoy the idea of like slight sessions where you start over from fresh and you like consider ways to. Yeah, I like MOBAs and I like the way that they uh start from scratch every time, so it's not like a pay to win.
Mm.
So that's what really drew me to League of Legends, and obviously winning and losing also helped me maintain my love for League of Legends.
Any favorite non-League games, or are you pretty much just you've played League and that's the only game that you play?
Oh, I like usually I play what's flavor of the month,
Oh, okay.
what my friends are playing. So for example, lately I've been playing Bloons Tower Defense 6, which
Yo,
is,
classic.
yeah, it's a classic. It is for sure. And it's also pretty AFK, but we can play it in queue as well.
I mean, that's important
So
for a pro. Yeah, yeah, of course, of course.
yeah, that
You
helps.
don't get 2-minute queue times like I do.
Yeah, the Korean server is like still pretty fast, so you don't really get that much time to play. You just, yeah, you
Yeah,
just
yeah, you've not
kind of
gone
get
all out
fed.
and getting a capture card for a GameCube like Rainer did. That was pretty nutty. He's now streaming Pikmin in his queue time. That's a new one. Are you gonna do something like that maybe, Corporal? Bloons Tower Defense and stream?
Definitely, if I'm streaming League of Legends, I will be playing that in queue, but
Perfect.
I don't think I will have a stream dedicated to that game.
No, I can understand. I can understand. So what are your kind of goals in League, like long term, and also at the moment? Like, what's your current goals with League? What do you want to kind of set out for like the next kind of split or season? And then what's your kind of long term goals?
Sure. Well, I'll start with my short-term goals because I feel like that helps me build up this
Mm.
question a bit more. So my short-term goals would be definitely I want to get Challenger within this off-season. That's something I'm actively striving towards. So I'm hoping to get that. And in terms of long-term, I really want to win a championship. I really, really, really want to win. I want to go to an international tournament and I want to represent my region. And
Amazing.
yeah, I mean, that's all I can say is my long-term goal, because that is why I play as a pro and
Mm.
what makes me keep practicing every day. So
Yeah, you sound very passionate and dedicated. Like you want to win. Like and winning. Like even the LJL. Like a lot of people go, "Oh, I imagine that's free." Not when you've got like DFM, Sengoku V3. Like every all of these teams have it. Like, do you think that's going to be something achievable in like another season or a split, or do you think it's might be something you're going to have to maybe wait a little bit and maybe just be patient and just find the right roster and team?
no, I have a lot of confidence within myself to create something that I feel like no matter what roster, if I have good synergies and we have a good way to play the game, I feel like it's very possible to win with anything. For example, last year, V3 was able to surprisingly pull it all
Mm.
together and win the championship. So I feel like something V3-esque may be in order soon.
Ooh,
And
okay.
just with the right synergies that come along, it could be quite close, I feel like. And I definitely don't rule out that it could happen within the near future as well.
Okay, so what you're saying is pay very close attention to the LJL next season because fireworks might be going off and we might be having something crazy. All right, I'm gonna be excited for that. I'm gonna watch that. I'm gonna watch that. What's it been like for you? Obviously, first working with Axis. I don't know how much you want to talk about your time at Axis. But actually, more currently, what's your time been like at the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks Gaming? Like, how's it your time been there? They seem very supportive of you on social media, at least.
Yeah, it's great. They're really supportive of my social media presence, of what I strive to do in a professional sense, and they have given me like all the necessary tools to have a great environment to practice and work in. So I'm really glad to, yeah, I was very glad to have joined Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks Gaming, because
Mm.
yeah, I really enjoy the way that they've treated me and helped me uh practice to the best of my ability. And for Axes, I was actually quite pleasantly surprised. I really liked the environment they pushed, and they would help me, like the people within the organization would help me with my Japanese a lot, and they always strived to like communicate fully within Japanese, and they wouldn't take excuses or anything. Like they would just want everyone within the team to always be communicating in Japanese, and they wanted everyone to be on the same page. So I really liked the way that they strive for like a professional environment too, and it was great. Like I enjoyed both teams.
It seemed like you had a great time and you were able to like still make playoffs and the miracle run that was with them. So I mean that's great, and it's really nice to hear that the orgs are still like I mean there is a history in the LJL. I mean we can't pretend it doesn't exist with imports around it, and it's great to hear that that's kind of like not something you've experienced, and obviously at the same time, hey, you're having possible. They're actually trying to help and push you. Um, I've asked this question a few times. I am going to ask the hard question though. Would you ever move to another region? Obviously, NA's the obvious one, or maybe back to Australia, or maybe even another major region or minor region like EU, LCK, LPL. You've already moved once. Would you be interested in doing it again?
If I had a competitive offer, I definitely am not turning that. I'm not closing that door in my mind. I
Mm,
would be open to opportunities, and yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna keep all my options open. I think it would not be in my best interest. It would not be in my best interest not to. Yes, the
of
double
course.
negative. Yeah, so yeah, once again, options open.
Yeah, I completely get it. Right, we actually had Pentanet.gg's former coach actually live in our Twitch chat watching your series versus V3. I think I'm paraphrasing, but I think I have a good paraphrase quote saying he'll throw hands if anyone tries to beat my boy. That's just a paraphrase. Uh, um, have you had a chance to go back? I mean, I think he said you even used to live with him. Is that's right as well? Like, do you get to go back and see people often from there, and do you chat to them very often?
Well, unfortunately, due to the situations of
Yeah.
the world at this time, I've not been able to return for a break
Okay.
since I've come to Japan. So, but I do have plans to um well, meet up with the Pensnet coach when I go back to Australia. He's one of my really good friends. And um sorry, what was the rest of the question? I forgot.
Have you had a chance to go back? No, because of
Yes.
current events. Do you chat with them often? I'm guessing it's pretty common. Like you said, you play video games with some of them.
Yeah, I chat with them quite often because it's obviously they like League of Legends. I also like League of Legends, which
Crazy.
is pretty surprising. Yeah, it's crazy stuff. And so we talk about League of Legends with each other quite often. And I'm able to get new perspective because I want to have outside perspectives from outside in because I feel like that helps you kind of understand yourself a bit more and the way that your team plays as well. I always try and get other perspectives. So I mean, talking to them is just like good fun and also it has quite a lot of benefits as well. So yes, I'm definitely talking to my former teammates and friends.
And hopefully you can go back and see your friends and family in person, safely, and swiftly, hopefully within the next few months or so. Yeah, cross fingers for sure. Okay, last few questions. So what are your thoughts on the current rise of content creators? I'm thinking especially around like live streams and co-streams. I think recent figures like LS have been making pretty large waves in the community, bringing pretty high elo thoughts to a wider audience. What is your thoughts on this as kind of a pro player? And do you have anything else around it?
I mean, I'm all for it because I am able to see new perspectives, and even if I don't necessarily agree with them, I can still try and understand what they're saying, and then if it makes sense to me as well, like the way that they've explained it, the way they've said it. For example, I do like I do like quite a lot of the stuff that Ellis says, I think.
Hmm.
The way that he explains um like freezing creating advantages. I I do like that kind of stuff. I also um think like I think he had an idea about slow pushing mid waves, and I do also really like that concept as well. So stuff like that, I'm able to see those perspectives, and then I think to my like I just do my own mental experiments, mental thought experiments,
Hmm.
and then think about the possible benefits of that. And I mean, just the more perspectives you have, it's not really going to hurt that much. So I'm all for it, and I definitely like the way that people are more willing to express their opinions. And I do like the way of content creation because I do like watching League of Legends on YouTube and
Hopefully.
Twitch.
Yeah, oh yeah. Hopefully we'll keep seeing more of it. I mean, it can get a little bit controversial when people disagree, but hey, creativity, chaos, it's all kind of the same thing I like to think of. Do you happen, as a pro player, a professional League of Legends player that has been very clear in this interview that you sometimes play more than 12 hours a day with some of your scrimming schedules and everything? I imagine it can be a full thing. Do you happen to have any other hobbies? Like, do you happen to do stuff in your spare time that to just kind of wind down that's non-related to League?
Yeah, I did used to do fitness, but that was
Oh,
a
cool.
while ago. I have not been keeping up with that very much. And I mean, I guess other than that, not really. I haven't really done anything apart from League of Legends for a while. Um,
Are you a big anime watcher? Or do you read books or anything? Nah,
no,
it's
not
just
really.
League.
Yeah, just League of Legends. It's a great game.
It truly is. I mean, it's the game that we both cover in some way. You play and I talk about to ad nauseum. So hey, I can agree. I can agree. It's a pretty good game. Um, Final question. Do you have anything you'd like to say to your fans, or anything else that you would like to plug?
Um, yeah, I am very grateful for all the fans. I really enjoyed um like seeing what fans say on Twitter and talking to people and um seeing everyone be so supportive is really I'm really grateful for all that as well. And I guess other than that, not really. I don't have much else to say apart from that. Just thank you so much for supporting me and the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks Gaming. And I would like to give a shout out to my friend Ricky because I didn't give him a shout out in the last interview.
Shout out to Ricky. Who is Ricky?
Ricky is one of my coaches that from 2019 that I played with, and I was meant to shout him out in my last interview, but I forgot to. So I'm sorry, Ricky.
Shout out to Ricky. Shout out to Ricky. Shout out to Hawks underscore at esports underscore Hawks or the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks Gaming for making this happen. Huge thank you to them. Huge thank you to Corporal for coming along here. You can find him at Corporal League on Twitter. And for any and all content related to the LJL, if you want it in English, you know where to come, ladies and gentlemen. It's the LJL OU. You can find everything at LJL Unofficial or at LJL OU in any search bar. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and we'll see you all very soon.
But did. I think everybody should follow us, you know, on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, get the like going, ring that bell. You know where you're going. LJL officially unofficial. You can join the Discord if you're not already a part of it. Follow us on Twitter. All these kind of things. 5 stars on all your favorite audio platforms. Done. That's it. If you do all those things, we're happy. You're happy.